is your current workplace drama? Story 1. Before our previous manager left Reed forced out, he ordered ugly hot pink chairs for the conference room which we won't have the budget to replace for 5 years at least. They are also hella uncomfortable. I think our department has stuck to mainly Zoom meetings after the pandemic to avoid sitting in them. Gotta respect the petty though. Story 2. Our CEO tried settling everyone's worries about layoffs before Christmas by saying, we're not going to have 20 or 50 layoffs like some companies, but we will have some, with no further comment during an all-hands meeting. So everyone's freaking out more now that we know it's coming ill. Story 3. The new hire that was a D1 athlete, top-level US college sports, came into work late 3 times in 2 weeks because he didn't have a car, yelled at the owner when he questioned him, tore off his clothes and quit on the spot. The strangest part, he was so good at his job and the owner wasn't even mad at him. The owner asked him how he could help get to work on time since he was a salesman and made more sales in the first 2 weeks than some salesmen did in their first 3 months. Story 4. Late November. My boss announced that we wouldn't get Christmas gifts because we'd have a Christmas party in a restaurant instead. Location TBD. Date TBD. I was kinda surprised because, even when I was working a customer service job at a wage close to minimum wage, location, date and time of the office Christmas party were given months in advance. I graduated and was hired during the pandemic, so this is my first experience of office Christmas party in corporate setting. Last week, the company sent us a form to figure out which dates would be best to host a Christmas party. My boss and his boss got pissed when they realized that for most dates, a max of 50 of us can come, because we planned other stuff for the holidays. They're complaining about our lack of team spirit and cooperation. You just don't ask people at the beginning of December to have free time for a party they never knew was coming. Personally, I know my December schedule since September, given that I work full-time, study part-time at uni, end of semester papers and finals, have 3 different groups of friends, my own family and my boyfriend's family. My colleagues have more or less similar circumstances, and it's not unknown to my boss or his boss. They're scrambling and we're kinda annoyed at their huffing and puffing. Last meeting we had where we basically discuss ongoing and future projects was about reminding us of our corporate values and culture, with strong mentions of how we need to work on team spirit. Some of my coworkers could barely contain the eye rolls. Personally, I'd rather just receive a gift by mail like last year, instead of being made to go to another Christmas party. We do the job well, the customers are happy, we have an over 90 satisfaction rate. Why get all upset about a last-minute Christmas party no one wants to go to? I hope they just cancel it. Story 5. Oh, you know, just the workplace romance. One of the servers is dating a line cook. 1 minute they're in love, the next they're fighting. I've told them to keep the drama non-existent at work, but they're 2 immature 24-year-olds that think they know better. At this rate, I'm just ready to change then to opposite shifts. Story 6. I'm currently stuck at home with COVID, so the drama is that the cat is insisting she is starving to death despite the fact she has both kibble and wet food right there. For God's sake, cat. Story 7. Let's call this girl Kim. Kim works at the front desk as a receptionist, but for 2 months my boss has been calling her into his office for longer talks, or he takes her after work for coffee. Bear in mind my boss is married. Last week Friday the boss's wife calls the front desk and she asked to speak to Kim. She told her so much over the phone. She saw all the messages, she was swearing her so much. Yesterday the boss's wife came to Kim and she gave her one hard smack in her face. Turns out Kim is 1 month pregnant with the boss's baby. Story 8. So I'm WFH and the one in charge, having to deal with these same 2 people every single day. The 4-year-old wants to keep jumping off the couch onto a padded mat, but I told her she can't anymore, especially when the 8-month-old is playing anywhere nearby, but she keeps doing it and we're going to have a serious workplace injury soon. Speaking of workplace injury, the 8-month-old keeps climbing up anything they can get their hands on, but they haven't developed great balance, so they fall multiple times each day, to the point where they've bloodied their mouth 3 times in the past month. Needless to say, we are severely understaffed. Story 9. It's a bit complicated, but a woman who has been doing this job at this company for 50 years is leaving. Retirement isn't the right word. Firing is the right word. Quitting isn't the right word. Basically because of fear of lawsuits and a lack of communication, this pioneering woman is not being ceremoniously applauded as she completes her illustrious career. I wish I could make a movie about her. Realistically, I think the right thing is probably going to happen. However, my lack of faith in corporate America has me leaning toward a major clusterfuck. Story 10. They hired this young guy straight out of college that thinks he knows everything and is planning to take over the department and eventually the company because he knows he is better than everyone else. He knows barely anything. I'm on the sideline watching it all unfold 9,000 kilometers away on other clients' jobs, and it is glorious how much he puts in writing or video and how many colleges want to talk about it with me. I never the guy at the office because I'm almost always away. I'm enjoying it a little too much that I'm sad he is going to be fired soon enough before I have a chance to see him in real life. Story 11. Mobile dog groomer. The 2 owners are also groomers. 5 employees including me and an office worker that's supposed to be a receptionist and book our apps. She screws up a lot. She was actually fired, but my boss died Christmas Eve last year and was hired back. 2 girls are furious with the mess-ups and owners won't do anything about it. So one bought her own van and will be gone by the end of January or early February. The other is interviewing for another mobile company and looks like she'll leave in a few weeks. So 13 of the workforce gone, and they don't even know they are about to lose 2 employees. Story 12. I'm probably going to leave soon. I was hired for full-time, then was told, oh, it's part-time, and you can pick up shifts for people to make it full-time. No one really trained me, and when I confronted my boss about my full-time schedule being dropped down to 2 days a week, he said it was because I wasn't doing small things to help out that I wasn't even told were supposed to be done during my shift, so he cut my hours. Instead of talking to me about this, again, I'm probably going to quit. And, thanks for the space to talk. I really needed to rant about this to let out some steam. Story 13. My boss hates one of my coworkers and tells me every opportunity he gets how much he'd like to fire her. Also, that same coworker has told me how much she hates our boss. I could start a real storm in the department if I wanted to by sharing this information with each of them, but I'd rather try and keep the peace as much as possible. Story 14. A couple obvious affairs, but that's every workplace if we're being honest. But I have a unique and interesting story too. So at the warehouse where I work we run basically 247, but with the day divided into 4 shifts and with 1 to 1 12-hour breaks in between. During those breaks and shifts, there are large sections of the massive facility where basically no one is around. During one of those breaks I went back for something I forgot and decided to stop in the bathroom real quick after, and in the back where the showers are I saw one of the higher-ups ahem pleasuring himself in, let's just call it, an unusual way. I sort of just walked in on it and we made eye contact. Silence ensued for a few seconds, then eefed. Dude can be a 2, so part of me wants to give him for this in front of people if he ever crosses me. Ick funny though. Story 15. Reorganization resulting in 4,000 job losses worldwide, and just 1 week ago our manager announced that he quit. Our team already has a resource gap, and there is a hiring freeze. Story 16. My boss demands me to bring him food and help him anytime he's even the least bit uncomfortable. I honestly don't mind it, but I just wish he wouldn't pick the moments I just sat down or started another project. I'm a som. Story 17. I'm in a tough spot. I worked extremely hard to get into my position. I worked on the assembly line for 7 years and finally had enough and put myself through schooling. I worked during the night and went full-time schooling during the day. It sucked, but now I'm kinda replacing an old man from his position. I make more than him and I do the same job. He's been in this position for a while. He's not bad at this job at all. He is pissed I make more than him just because I have a degree and he doesn't. I feel so bad and there's nothing I can do. I treat him with the utmost respect. I just get a ton of snide remarks and I can understand why. It's just a sucky situation to be in. He's not being forced out, but he will not get any more promotions either. Story 18. Not at my workplace, but at my husband's workplace. Apparently there is tons of inter-office gossip, and among other rumors, one is being spread that my husband and the woman he is most often teamed with are having an affair. When they heard it, they called me immediately, barely able to speak for laughing. We've become friendly with this woman and her husband, and they know I love a good joke, so they had to loop me in. I said, when the call ended, gotta go, I need to buy your work wife a ring pop so you can propose properly. They cracked up, and called her husband next. Story 19. There's a guy who eats ranch dressing by the jar, like no chips, no baby carrots, he just takes a spoon and eats the ranch. He also routinely shows up for work 30 minutes late or more, uses some kind of spray-on product to make his patchy beard look thicker, and is incapable of talking about anything other than Call of Duty. And this guy is supposed to take care of and be responsible for other human beings. Story 20. A coworker dragged our boss on her FB page and someone saw it and narked her out. Except she is only friends with a couple people from work and she started screaming at them trying to figure out who did it. Story 21. I quit because my manager quit because he was hired at the same time as the CCO because the CCO used to have my manager's job but quit and came back after 6 months, and instead of just hiring my new manager like we all wanted, upper management decided to hire both of them and give the guy who came back a brand new role of CCO we've never had or needed before. Which changed my manager's job even though he had just the day prior signed his contract. But before I gave my 2 weeks notice, I found out one other person and I were supposed to have veto power on hiring the old guy back, but we were never told that, and it was never exercised because neither of us wanted to hire him back and we made that very clear. And then when I gave my 2 weeks I agreed to stay on part-time to help finish my project but had to inform the 2 closest people I would be working with while remote that I was scaling back to part-time. They, individually in separate meetings, said, well, that's funny because I accepted a job somewhere else and you better believe I rescinded my offer and walked away. That's all. Story 22. Well, seeing as I work from home, Pug number 1 Phoebe had been bringing up some problems to Mangament. Her main complaints being that her brother Joey has been interfering with her very important nap schedule and shows little interest in helping protect the house from the dangerous squirrel outside. She also plans to start a union that's main condition is, no more walks in the rain. Story 23. Every project wants their data processed by the end of the year, since that way they won't have to carry over budget for the next year. Since there's insufficient people to process all data, our manager has decided to give priority to projects based on the timeliness of their data delivery. Some project managers are losing their minds over having to reopen projects just so they can get us the data, because that would show that they're under budget and ahead of schedule. Claims they've been making for a few months now were fraudulent and they're not getting their bonus. One project manager has been rumored to go around offering bribes to have his project data processed off the record. Story 24. Our former apprentice who left suddenly 6 months ago but stayed friends with the boys I work with, popped up in my DMs over the past week as he had heard I was now single. I didn't reply, but he has messaged every day. He has a fiancé and child. I told the boys what was happening, and they are living for the drama. They won't let me block him either because they find his thirst hilarious. Makes a change from a usual talk about screed and flooring. Story 25 startup I used to work at has churned through almost 100 of their entire team headcount this year. Only one person has enough experience to do their job properly. Almost all clients are up for renewal next year, and it's going to be a shit show. Story 26 I work night shift, so on my shift nothing except for an annoying traveling CNA. Day shift has a different crisis every day. Most recently one activities aide took all the keys to the activity room home with her despite everyone. Story 27 I filled in as a supervisor for a week because we are down one after the girl who everyone thought was an OnlyFans model turned out to be one and was basically sugar babying it up with a super, so they both got fired, and now I'm having to go up against 13 others to become the supervisor full-time. So I'm either going to become a supervisor or they are going to lose one of their top earners. We'll see what happens. Story 28 my colleague which is on sick leave until January. We are two people that cover our entire country with sales in the sports industry. My boss haven't told me yet and it have been weeks. I just got 300 clients dumped on me on top of the 400 I already have. Also I took out my last vacation days during Christmas, but only if I'm available on mail phone. Story 29 I work at a portable building company. We basically build and sell portable sheds and houses. 12 hours 10 hours, 5 to 6 days per week. We started taking Fridays and Saturdays off because the sheet metal machine broke down. As a result, the pay was low. One guy stopped showing up completely. One workstation had the whole crew quit after they all told the supervisor that this may be their last week there. The supervisor ignored him and kept walking. This pissed off the crew and they immediately quit on the spot after they finished their last building that day. One cleanup guy got fired for repeatedly asking a coworker for sugar cocaine and many other guys are considering employment elsewhere. The pay was already bad, but it's not worth 3 to 4 days per week. I am typing this on my last day on the job as we speak. Story 30 I've taken a day off because me and my partner were having some worries about her pregnancy that required us to go to the hospital. I've also taken some time off today and am only going to go back when I know everything is okay. However, at my place of work, if anyone has a day off, the workplace becomes a soap opera of people talking about the person who is off and speculating what's going on. I will probably be going in later, but workplace talk and drama will be the death of me, I know it. Long story short, I will probably be the drama. Story 31 had 2 employees not show up for shift. No word from them for a week now. No one can get hold of them. Pulling double shifts and training new staff. It's a problem when you only have 3 employees. Story 32 and the manager. Subordinate is unhygienic, to say the least. I catch her picking her nose often, coughing or sneezing without covering her face. Often sneaks food from others' plates when they aren't looking. I try to correct her, and be gentle about it, but is she stubborn? She's 5 years old though, so I guess this is to be expected sometimes. Being a stay-at-home mom is a germy business. Story 33 recently found out one of the senior members on my team has been telling my supervisor that I have no skills. I currently work building maintenance with a background in carpentry. It just so happens that this person is 60 years old and also specializes in carpentry. This has resulted in me getting all the most basic and boring work. I find myself having nothing to do for most of my days. Instead of bringing this up to my supervisor or HR, I'm just embracing it. I've read a solid number of books this year and get to work on my writing all while I'm at work. Story 34 I own a small business that runs out of a stall at the farmer's market, so there's nothing going on for me. But the 2 butchers across from me have some kind of rivalry and swinging contest going on that involves 2 men with cleavers staring at each other angrily and chopping meat with a fury that can only be rivaled by serial killers. Seriously, I've never seen a meat slicer run faster whilst cutting Lebanon bologna. Story 35 My supervisors have decided not to offer me more overtime in circumstances where I'm the most convenient choice, though seeing as I'm already working OT on at least 3 shifts a week, I kind of understand why they don't want to throw more money my way. Story 36 We just got a new terminal manager and he's having to clean up the mess left by the old one, who off to the hill country because he got a promotion or some old boss favored certain employees and allowed them to get away with like basically around in order to get more hours so they could get overtime, which we're not supposed to have anyway. Everybody knew who old boss favored and they get their mistakes or their call-outs which were not supposed to have more than a certain amount before you get fired unless you have a doctor's note, which these the favorite seldom did overlooked with a well, just try to do better next time, pat on the back. Old boss did not like conflict. So if a conflict came up, head nope out of it as quick as possible, and the office staff took their cues from him. Now new boss has to clean up the huge mess old boss left, and I get the feeling he's not terribly excited about it. Story 37 The boss is not always in the office, but when she comes, everything must be done now, and we have to move this here, and that thing can go there and you can throw this out. She always leaves a huge mess for all of us to clean up, while we also have to do all of the other things we were supposed to be doing that day. I hate that woman. Story 38 Our HR lady has 0 HR training or experience. After she was moved into her position they hired an HR consultant to come in and train her. She's sleeping with one of our department heads. The only positive thing about this whole move is my friend got the position she vacated. Story 39 Man, was it an uphill battle to drive the company truck in the Christmas parade? First, the boss passive-aggressively told me I was doing it, so I start making the plans and preparations, and the boss starts passive-aggressively telling me not to do it. Then my coworkers chimed in with, "Oh, I thought we were just decorating the truck and leaving it in the parking lot, because our parking lot is a popular parade-watching spot." So I finally went to the boss and said, "Would someone please give me some clear direction here?" Long story short, I drove the truck in the parade, and the boss' demeanor was because he had other plans that night and wouldn't be able to micromanage me. Story 40 My annoying procrastination of basic admin is starting to get my boss goat, and he's warned me a number of times to get off my and do it, but the thing is, he's such a lazy. I know for a fact he's never going to get round to writing me up for it, so we're stuck in this endless cycle of me procrastinating and him not doing anything about it. I should probably mention that I work for myself. Story 41 We're moving out to a newly built shop soon, but nobody knows where we're going since there's not enough places at the new shop, except apprentices and the manager Somi and 3 other people who are 100 sure to go to the new shop, but it's confidential so the others don't know yet. So a literal war started between everyone in hope to drag down the others to look better than them and be picked in the new team. It's sad and embarrassing since a lot of confrontations happen in front of clients and involve bringing up things that happened 10 years ago to justify harassment. Story 42 I need to order a new piece of equipment. I call a meeting over email with production management, facilities and maintenance management, and engineering. I say we need to discuss where to put it, if it will replace our existing equipment or be supplemental, and talk about the facilities it will need: air, water cooling, exhaust, etc. I get a bitchy email back from the grumpy facilities manager about how I need to discuss the very things I called a meeting about, called me out and pointed to the documentation that I need to follow. These documents are there for a reason, that's why I'm calling the meeting before I order the equipment. Seems pretty tame, but it pissed me off. So a guy at my workplace got into an argument with the head of maintenance over something he thought was unclean and unsafe. The guy was yelling about it in front of everyone, and didn't feel as though it was resolved to his liking. Then later that day someone took on the floor in the men's room, on the other side of the room from the stall. Only 9 men work here, 3 of whom work in maintenance, and the guy who was previously yelling at the maintenance worker mysteriously went home sick that afternoon. HR can't prove it was him, and now everybody here has to pretend like we don't all know who took an angry retaliation on the bathroom floor. I can't even look the guy in the face anymore. Story 43 New job, so no real workplace drama. Currently just dealing with new colleagues who overshare their personal lives, and the guy that's constantly late. We work in pairs, so it somewhat affects me but makes him look tardy. Off to work with new guys today, so going to see what bullshit they throw my way. Story 44 The company has very poor cash flow, lots of customers that don't pay within a reasonable time frame. We can't get materials in time to complete jobs because we can't pay suppliers. Story 45 I work in a government hospital. Our department was divided into 2 groups of friends, my group and our head's group. Our head always sides with his group, lessens their workload and gives it to us and never hears our concerns, so we're pretty pissed about it. There was this special risk allowance that we will be receiving because of COVID. The hospital was also divided into 2 factions. First one basically just prepared everything so that their people would get that allowance, and the other thinks we don't deserve it. Our head is in the latter. Time came and the first faction got the allowance and we didn't. Head's group felt betrayed and they fell out. Elections came, new administration came. Along with that is the risk of losing our jobs because we were affiliated with the former administration and the boss pretty much didn't recommend most of us for renewal, even though people from other department got retained because their head justified his employees. Along with his group, we all got cut. Luckily, a few of us got connections, so we managed to return. The new administration came and along with it came new employees. Now, our head just spoils the newcomers to be in with them and we pretty much got outcast. Story 46 So currently I work at a warehouse where I drive a forklift. It's a very large and busy place, as you can imagine. In the men's bathroom all the way in the corner there is a graffiti war going on in Sharpie on the wall. I will now depict what this says, word for word, ahem. Text number this NI, gay with an arrow pointing to the number how you know, with an arrow pointing to previous comment illit if it's big enough original poster NI, you gay National Health Service underfunding for 10 years. Story 47 No one likes our new GM. She runs her mouth a lot and trash talks, walks around like she's hot and thinks she knows everyone. She's very obviously insecure about herself and we all see it. I don't think she actually gets along with anyone. Story 48 Currently it's me resigning and leaving them in the because I was one of only 2 competent members in my team of 6, so with me gone it's become very evident how much work is not being done by the others. They were somehow surprised that I didn't stay after twice being overlooked for a promotion I worked my off for in favor of my shitty manager's friend, who left then changed her mind a year later and walked straight into the role I was doing but not being paid for. Story 49 I called our cleaner's boyfriend, didn't know they were dating. She told him and now we're waiting to see whether or not I'm gonna get smacked at some point. Story 50 I just quit for a new job, so that's interesting. Also that one of the employees is obviously cheating on her husband and talks about this other guy all the time. She says they're just friends but we all know. Story 51 One of the tattoo artists at the shop I work for gets drunk and coked out every shift. Everyone knows it. He has a wife and 3-year-old son at home and complains about them constantly. Spends 6 days a week at the shop because it's easier to hide his substance use that way. has 2 teenage daughters he ran out on and doesn't pay child support. His tattoos usually look terrible. Story 52. Our coworker is refusing to chip in 3 for a nacho party. My boss is mad cause she said I know he has 3 cause he just got his hair dyed and cut a few weeks ago. My boss said to his face, take that hat off, you look like a serial killer. I think he's just mad about that and that's why he's not giving the 3. Story 53. We have a rogue feral IT group who deployed and use a HIPAA application for patient data. They did this without involving IT because using proper security policies took too long and made things difficult. Story 54. I work in tech so everyone's worried about layoffs. The leadership team keeps telling people that there are no plans of layoffs but nobody really believes them. Everyone is stressed out about it and are either half-assing their work or overworking themselves. It's crazy how an entire industry can be doing incredibly well one year where during the pandemic stock prices were some of the highest they've ever been, to now, where the market has normalized and there are massive layoffs. This is why it's so important to be a society with strong social support systems when these things happen. This situation shouldn't be as scary as it is for people. Story 55. I am a lab manager in a research lab. I had this past Friday through Tuesday scheduled off for moving. Last Thursday we overnight samples to a colleague that represented 7 months of work and FedEx lost the package. I had my coworker texting me multiple times demanding I call FedEx. While I was trying to pack, while I had the fire department out to my new residence, everything is okay, false alarm. When I didn't do it, she called, but she got frustrated and asked me to call again on Tuesday. I called, discussed the status with a rep, gave them additional info on the package, and got a claim number. Then I had to take a family member to the airport and couldn't update right away, but emailed my coworker and the recipient wed morning saying with the info, ID check back Thursday afternoon if I didn't hear anything. The first thing my coworker does is say everything I said was wrong and I need to call FedEx back right now. I should have jammed my phone up her. Story 56. We bought a bunch of stuff from another company and are in the process of realizing how mismanaged they are, but also we don't really have the manpower, so a bunch of the old guard are demanding change or they're out, including my direct supervisor, and if she's out, I'm out. Story 57. That all my employees will be out of a job in a few weeks, but none of them know it yet. It's getting exhausting trying to explain away why I'm drawing down inventory, not hiring people even though we need them, not replacing broken equipment, and have stopped all marketing efforts. Story 58. They have taken over the South Hall and are rapidly advancing. We are building a barricade as fast as we can, but I don't know how long we can hold out. Story 59. The VP of Sales reports to the President, Sales and Marketing. Both of them are best friends from their college days, and get along very well. Their PAs, not so much. Basically the VP's PA, whom we'll call GM, was assistant to the previous president, sales and marketing, and had her own cabin. When the two friends joined together, the new president brought along his assistant from the previous job, so the new assistant, whom we'll call JM, entered the company. Now for a few months, apparently this was before I joined, I've heard this story through the office gossip grapevine, it was an awkward situation. GM continued in her old cabin and served the VP, who had his cabin on the other side of the floor. Meanwhile, JM sat at a temporary cubicle set up for her with the rest of the cubicle staff. Then COVID came. The company decided lockdown was the time to get some pending renovations out of the way. When everyone came back, the CXOs and presidents got a series of swanky new cabins, fully furnished with their own amenities. Plus all PAs got attached smaller cabins too. The VP on the other hand got promoted to senior VP, and got a new cabin himself. Due to a slew of cross-hiring within departments and external hirings, a number of cabins got assigned to middle and upper management. GM lost her cabin, and threw a fit. To pacify her, she was given a large corner cubicle, as on this day, both GM and JM have their respective circle of friends who can't stand to be in the same room. Which becomes very funny to watch when they need to attend meetings and coordinate between each other, because their respective bosses are best buddies. Story 60. Doing an internship in a government processing office. I handle a lot of documents and have access to the file rooms. These two workers, I know they were close friends and also know they have their own family. The girl has a 2-year-old son and the guy has a 3-year-old son. Their family seems to know each other. What I find weird is they seem very touchy with each other. When they're working, the guy would tickle the girl from behind. One day, I went to the file room to retrieve a document and saw them making out. They were surprised. It was awkward for a moment, but I just proceeded to take the records I needed and pretend nothing happened. The entire office seems to know their relationship too, but no one gives a I think. Story 61. No drama since all toxic PPL left or leaving soon. Thanks God it is fate that at the beginning I met many toxic one later in life. One by one, they left and working place is getting much better, happier too. Story 62. Girlfriend was promised a promotion in a week's time to manager for manager in training. They then denied her that after she quit her old job since she wasn't getting enough hours she got a second job. They started complaining her second job was getting in the way of her hour flexibility, after she worked 3 12-hour shifts in a row including Black Friday, and threatened to fire her for it. She's quit the toxic job now but struggling for pay and hours on her own, though her second job has been trying to help. Story 63. The head housekeeper has been sacked for saying in quite a public place that the manager and another housekeeper like licking each other out, among other things. Story 64. I 20F work as a hostess in a restaurant. The stressing at my job is a hard job. It's more than seating, it's also finding servers, telling them, making sure the server goes to the table, and taking to-go orders. And there is this one F-17 that always acts like it's her second day of training. She has been there for over a month, and the managers are done with her. I always tell them about any screw-ups, because they ask, everyone dreads working with her, 'cause of the mistakes she makes every shift, and when old situations come up, she doesn't know how to react. The only reason she got the job was that another hostess had the job and recommended her, but her friend knows she's not good. There is a new girl that had been trained, so she might lose her job soon. She maybe gets 2 shifts, but that's 'cause she doesn't show any willingness to grow. She says she hasn't grown since the lack of shifts. When I started I got as many as she did, and I worked. Story 65A, much higher up with his head firmly in his, has decided he's going to ask us to come back into the office 3 days a week after nearly 3 years of full remote work. At least it's rumored this dictate is coming. How to lose most of your employees 101. Story 66, this one guy keeps on messing stuff up, counting the money wrong, accidentally letting customers go without paying, filling out documents with false information, and we all know who it is. But our boss took a strong liking to him for some reason, so he's still keeping the position. If it were anyone else in his place they'd get fired on the spot. It's fun here. Story 67, my coworker refuses to leave me manager alone until I approve more company recreation time. I get that everyone needs to blow off some steam, but there is a time and place for everything. Story 68, another tech company was failing and we poached a lot of talent from there. Now that failed company's workforce essentially runs our company. Our company has basically become a promotion and jobs bank for this other company. Almost all of the old guard are reporting to people who used to work at the old company. It's going about as well as you expect.